Oh, God. Another busy day. It's been busy all week, man. Got a lot of stuff to do. Sorry, I just haven't been streaming regularly. I just got a lot on my plate this week. Next week, I got a good amount of stuff on my plate. Ooh. Well, by the middle of April, I should be done with everything. Should be able to go back to my normal schedule. And I'll be so tired. So I got so much on my mind right now. I mean, I would like to stream normally, but like I said, I've been tired. What's up, Blades? How you doing? What's going on? I'm guessing you're waiting for me. Yeah, I was busy all day today. Like I was out since like 12. I didn't get back till like 6:30, and I was like, oh God. And I got a bunch of stuff I gotta do today. Not too much to do, but I got stuff to do. You decided to take my advice. So what advice is that? What advice are you talking about? What update? What advice are you talking about? I mean, if you know you're gonna play them, then if they're on huge discount, then obviously get them. If you know you're gonna play them. But if it's stuff that if it's like, oh, I'm never gonna play it, but am I gonna buy it? It's like, yeah, it's like, then why are you buying it? You know, obviously, there's a lot of games on my wish list that I still haven't bought because it's just whether am I gonna play them. That's the thing. You know, as long as you're gonna play them, if you know you're gonna play them, then yeah. Right now, the way my mood's been, you know, I do want to play certain games. You know, I'm in a certain mood. But also, I've been busy with real life stuff, so. I just want to get through all this real life stuff so I can get back on track. I got a lot on my plate right now. Like for the next 2 weeks, I got a lot of stuff to take care of. But I think by the middle of next month, it should be. I would say after the 15th, it should be pretty chill for me. I should have a lot more time. But yeah, it's just, you know, basically you have things you want to get rid of. Let's see the survey. I guess we'll do the survey then. I'm waiting to kill time right now. Focus group? What they call them now? So, what else is new with you? This focus group will take. I am not going to a focus group. I am not going to that. There, that was easy. You go into that? No. That was easy. That was real easy. Do you want to do this? No. Okay. Thank you for your time. and not going to some local focus group for an online game. It's like, seriously, you want me to go to that shit? Oh, the Tomb Raider games. Those are the remakes, right? The remasters. Not the new trilogy, right? I do recommend playing the trilogy, by the way. The new trilogy was really good, except the last game. I did not like Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I thought that was the worst entry of the three. It was such a terrible story. Did not care for that. It had the best combat, but it had the worst story. Second one I thought was the best. Rise of the Tomb Raider. The first one's really good too. I mean, they're worth playing. I mean, I know shit. I remember the Epic Store gave the trilogy for free. Like, I think it's been given free a couple times. Like, I remember getting it on Epic Store when it was part of one of the Christmas, the 16 days of Christmas, promotions they do every year for free games. And I remember the last game was all 3 games for free. I was like, yeah. At that point, I was like, yeah, you should definitely get it. It's free. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the day change. Yeah, but yeah, not much else, dude. Not much else. Yeah, $8 ain't bad. That's not bad at all. It's pretty cheap. I mean, I'm sure you can find it cheap, well, maybe online, on websites. I don't know if it'll ever be free again. That was a while ago when that happened. That was years ago. It's funny how old those games are now. Yeah, well, it'll never be Ono, dude. Ono was like, he was the soul of Street Fighter. He really loved the community. Like Ono, when they lost Ono, I was like, yeah, I don't think it'll ever be the same without Ono. I mean, I don't play Street Fighter, but I know Ono was a big part of that. A lot of people liked him a lot. But obviously the times have changed. That's the problem. Like, it's not the same anymore. Like a lot of the industry doesn't have like figureheads like we used to. They were losing all those figureheads. Ono's pretty much gone. I mean, he has his own company now, but I don't even know how well the company's doing. Harada's gone. We don't really have any prominent fighting game heads or developers that really, give a shit. Yeah, it's very monetized now. Like, fighting games are heavily monetized now. Really bad. Yeah, Wada's gone. Yeah, the fact that people are gonna miss Phil Spencer, you know, even though he wasn't exactly the greatest, but people would rather have Phil Spencer than the fucking new person we have now. It's just like, yeah, he's gone. Reggie's gone. Reggie was like very popular with Nintendo. You could thank Reggie for the success of the Wii. He's the one that made that system sell well in the States. And Reggie, a lot of people respected Reggie. Yeah, those days are done, man. Like, nowadays, directors and stuff, there's really not that many now. None of them are really that good. I don't really care about most of them. Like I said, we don't really have those kind of people anymore. I mean, even look at you know, even what's his name? I can't think of his name. Ed Boon. Look what happened to his company. MK is pretty much just, you know. The problem is, even with those figureheads, they just go against what these major corporations want to do, and they have no power. They have no say. They literally feel like they can't give any direction, you know, what they want to do. And it's like, you know, the corporation's just going to be like, look, you listen to our shareholders and shut the fuck up. You know, so they're just like, okay, well, again, I think it's just it's a different time now. It's just different now. I mean, Ed Boon's still around. He's still like the MK guy, but you know, with what's going on at NetherRealm and all that, you know, I see, I don't know, the future seems really uncertain. Yeah, I just think them doing another MK reboot just felt really scummy. I'm just like, dude, you drop the other game, and then it's like, oh yeah, now we're just doing a new Mortal Kombat just like that. I'm like, wow, dude, just, you know, good God. It just feels like, you know, they're just cash grabbing at this point. They're just like, we need to make more money. Here, let's make a new game, and so we can charge you another $100 and sell you another stupid season pass because you're stupid enough to fall for it. That's what it feels like. It just feels like they know that people are gonna buy this shit because it's like, oh look, you love Mortal Kombat. You'll buy anything we make. It's like, dude, like, the previous game barely had one season. It's already end of service, and you're already talking about the next game. Like, my God, dude, it's like you figure they would take their time and take a bit of a break, you know, and make an amazing game. But nope, they're already back at it. Back at it again. This just shows you how much they don't care. MK9 was like a reboot, and people loved it. It was like probably one of the biggest MK releases. Were big presence on that game. Like, the fans were super happy about that game. Like, viewed very highly. People felt 9 was a return to form. But yeah. Yeah. I didn't play. I wasn't a fan of 9. I don't like Mortal Kombat, really. Like, but I know 9 was really popular. I don't. I've stopped liking Mortal Kombat ever since Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I just don't care for it anymore. I just don't like how the game plays. It's not my cup of tea. I feel it's too stiff. You always like this track? What are you talking about? What track? But the Mortal Kombat track? Oh. You like the most... You always seem to like the oddest music in this game. And the songs I like, you kind of like. I know we have different tastes. Oh. Oh, it looks like we're gonna play Tetris right now. Tetris. Okay. Conclude points. Alright, I get it. Let's see. What is all this moaning? The fuck is all this moaning, man? It sounds weird, man. It's like getting off of me playing Tetris. What the fuck, man? Like, oh my god, look at you play Tetris. Oh my god. That's like, this is a little uncomfortable. I'm sorry, this sounds so disturbing, dude. This sounds so fucking disturbing, dude. Like, why are they moaning? Like, it sounds fucking creepy, dude. Like, dude, it's like, this doesn't, like, arouse me. I'm sorry, the whole moaning thing kind of is a little unsettling. I ain't gonna lie. That moaning is really unsettling. It's like it makes no sense on this minigame. Like, why would you put that in there when playing this minigame? Like, oh god. I did not like that. It's just weird. Okay, that's done. You were about to ask questions since you're looking at the screen. You're like, the fuck is going on? Like, things were happening, man. It was just like, what? That's all I could say. It was just what? It was definitely not pleasant to hear. That was definitely some what the fuck. still there, Blades? Oh shit. Let's do my sign. Okay, this was one thing. But he disappeared. Yeah, there's not much else going on. I'm waiting for next week for some new game stuff. And then the week after for fighting game stuff.
Take this. It's kind of something I brought from the snowfield.
I'm not sure anything else on your mind you want to talk about. I don't really have much else to say. The most common, I mean, like when they look at the game, what's the first thing they say that's wrong about it? So, well, they probably say, oh, that's a good question. You know, the main thing I would say is a Kusage game. They would say it's Kusage. That's one thing I would say they probably hear. It's like, oh, it's a Kusage game. Which is like bullshit, broken. You know, kind of like Hokuto no Ken. That's a Kusage game. Like it means like shit game, but not in the same sense like you would think. Basically, it's like broken game. I think that's the one thing I would say, and I was like, nah, it's not a Kusage game. I mean, it's got some bullshit combos that are very long. But I wouldn't sit there and just say it's just like Marvel Infinite, like everything's touch of death situation, like all the time. That's why I don't really consider it Kusage. Like Marvel's Kusage because that shit's just like touch of death all over the fucking place. Like you're just bouncing all over the floor and getting tossed around, taking, tens of thousands of damage, killing your whole team, happy birthday shit. Like that to me is like ultimate Kusuge. Like you're in that combo, 0 meter, you're gonna die. That I do agree. Yeah, that's probably the only thing I can think of that they would say. Because the thing is, a lot of people don't know what Chaos Code is. Like, if you show it to most people, they'll have no idea what you're talking about. They'll be like, the fuck is that game? The only thing they would probably say is, oh, it looks like one of those old, 2D fighters back in Street Fighter 2 days. Yeah, and it's like, yeah. Definitely has the old school pixel art. Which is fine. That's a style choice. I will say the animations aren't as smooth as like King of Fighters, like 98 and stuff. I think those animations are a little bit smoother on their transitions. Chaos Code's a little more choppy. Wouldn't say it's like bad, but you compare the game with, SNK sprites, you do see that the Chaos Code doesn't have as many in-between frames. Well, also another thing I noticed, Chaos Code has like warping on their sprites. Like you notice, like characters like they warp themselves when they transition in certain things. It's kind of weird. Like I'd have to show it to you if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you know what I mean by warping. And I think they do it to give the illusion of movement. It's a technique, they use to be like, hey, I'm gonna make it move by warping it. Like I said, I don't know if you know what warping is. Do you know what that is, Blades, or no? No, it's an animation process. If you look in Photoshop, just type warping. There's a thing called warping. You can see what I'm talking about. It's a technique. Not wrapping, warping. Different thing, dude. Not wrapping. It's not like wrapping paper. It's warping, like warp speed, warp zone. If that helps at all. If you do a search on Google or something, just type in Photoshop warping, see what you find. kind of see it in action, see what you think. Think like of like taking a image and then you're dragging its like in Photoshop you would drag the image and you would like distort it like by shifting its dimensions in a different direction. So like imagine something like a box and you drag the corner and it like you expand it or shrink it or make it change its third dimension. Like it's like I said, it's I'm trying to explain it best I can. I'm probably not doing the best job. If I had Photoshop open, I could show you. You looked up an example. Did you get a better idea what I'm talking about? I don't know if you've seen it in fighting games. Not all fighting games do it, but I know Chaos Code does it in a few instances. Like Rui does it when she's doing certain intro poses. She also does it when she does her jumping grab attack, where she like grabs him, slams him on the ground, and when she kind of like rises up, it's like a warp effect. Bravo does it too when he's laughing, like his body shifts up and down, like almost he has like, again, it creates that illusion of movement. Like you gotta see it in action, like, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it isn't like there's not like in between frames, I guess. Because normally animation has in between frames, so they would draw another frame, and it would create that illusion of movement. But they do this warping effect, so it looks like the sprite is moving when it's not. It's almost like applying a filter on it. It's not really a filter though. It's an effect. It's the same image, but it's giving that illusion that it's moving. But I think they do that because I'm sure it saves them a lot of money. Because drawing sprites is not cheap. And I'm surprised as much as Chaos Code uses drawn sprites, which is crazy. You know, I can imagine how much time that takes to create an individual sprite. even though it's only rendering it, I think, at 480p. And they probably use AI to upscale it so it looks a little... Well, no, flipbook animation is how you draw sprites. It's the same thing. You're drawing frames, and you shift between frames at a fast movement to create the illusion of movement. So fast transitionary frames to create movement illusion. So that's been that's been around for a long time. Still used today. It's an expensive process though because you have to draw every in between frame. Like Skullgirls, for example. I think like I remember reading an article where they talked about like Cerebella, the grappler character. They said like on average each character has 3,000 frames drawn for each fucking character, which is insane that you have that many frames. Like like when she does like her super twirly arm move, they have every single transition in that move is a drawn frame. So, which gives it, beautiful illusion of movement. It looks very clean. It's very impressive. Same thing with like Cuphead. I'm sure you've seen Cuphead in action. Now, all that's hand drawn with in between frames, and it looks smooth as fuck. Like it's really impressive. It's like like Disney animation levels of old school Disney animation. They used to all draw that shit, and they would show you the process. Like they look at like the old Disney movies, like Lion King and all that stuff, and it's just like god damn, it's impressive, dude. It's the level of detail and the level of craftsmanship that these people have to put into it to make it look that good. How much time that takes and how much money. It's very costly. It looks beautiful with the finished product, but look how long it takes to make. You try to make something like that today, it's just so expensive. That's why they do 3D, because 3D is, you just get a wiring frame, you map it with textures, and then you move it. You can basically move it like a puppet. And that's a lot easier to do that than to draw every single frame of movement for a character sprite for every particular thing that they're doing. That's just way too much time. Like I prefer it. Like fighting games look gorgeous when they're done that way and done at a very high quality level, but it's just so much work. That's why I don't think we'll ever see a game like Skullgirls ever get made again, or King of Fighters 13. It's just never going to happen. It's just too expensive. The best shit we're gonna get now is like Guilty Gear Strive or Xrd levels of animation. That's what you're gonna get. That's the closest thing you're gonna get to 2D animation. Which, it is impressive, don't get me wrong. The technology has come a long way to create that illusion of 2D, which it looks gorgeous. Like, it really does. It's like, and it's respectable. Yes, it will probably never replace traditional 2D animation, because there are things that 2D animation can do better, like especially with like exaggeration, because there's a lot of disproportionate frames, because of they're showing like you ever see old Capcom games and the characters' body dimensions shift depending how they're moving or doing what move. It'll make things look exaggeratingly big to create an effect. It's a style choice, which it looks great. It's obviously exaggerated. It normally doesn't look like that, realistically, but it's a style. It's like, it looks good. But yeah. It's good stuff though. I mean, I respect it. Definitely. There's it's an art form. That's why I always consider like 2D animation and all that stuff. It's art. It takes a lot of effort, but the amount of time to wait for that stuff is very lengthy, which I kind of don't like. You know, you have to wait so long for shit to get done. Like for example, like where I was talking about Rabby Ribby and Tevi, like that pixel, you know, Metroidvania game I play, you know, Bullet Hell. Same with like Crosscode. Crosscode took 8 years to finish, and that just had 16-bit pixel art. Like 8 years to make a fucking RPG with hand-drawn 16-bit sprites. Like, that is a long-ass fucking time. Don't get me wrong, it is a gorgeous game. Like, it's made with so much love. Like, you can definitely see the love put into it. That's why I think it's one of the greatest games ever made. But it's just like, holy shit, dude, that's a lot of time. You know, it is definitely a spectacle to behold. But yeah, if you want products coming out like that, it's just not feasible for most companies. You know, those are like passion projects. You're only going to get these, you know, obviously these developers are young. You know, they have the time to do it now. But when, you know, do you really think they're going to be doing that shit for fucking 20 years? Probably not. You know, 20's kind of a long time, you know. Some do 20, 30 years worth, but realistically, you know, that's not going to be the case. You know, they're going to get old. It's a lot of work, and you're going to maybe see like 2-3 games get made from those kind of people, and they're kind of done after that because they're just like, dude, I can't do this anymore. It's so much work. You know, it's like actors, you know, you don't see actors acting for fucking 50 years. You know, they kind of just do things for about 20 years, and then that's probably if they last, you know, if they're actually on a roll. You know, but they're kind of done after that because they just realize like how much it takes out of you. It's so much work. It's a toll on your body. And you're just like, I can't do this anymore. Look at like Tom Holland with Spider-Man. You know, I know he's still young, but you think he's going to still be doing Spider-Man in like 20 years? Probably not. Probably do a cameo. Probably be a side character, you know, a guest character, you know, guest appearance. But he ain't going to be like doing main roles like that in 20 years. I doubt it. Yeah, it's like, you know, the previous two Spider-Man, you know, Tobey Maguire and, what's his name? Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. You know, they did their cameo appearance, but, you know, that was a cameo, you know, it was like, oh, cool, you know, they came back for that one movie. I don't think they're going to probably do it again. Exactly, you get sick of it, and also, too, just, again, your body. It takes a toll on you. I mean, hell, they're already talking about, like, I was reading up online, like, you know, like fighting game professionals, like, you know, tournament players. You know, a lot of those guys, you know, they don't compete in their 40s, really. 40s, you're kind of like washed up. Because, you know, the young blood that's coming in they're just so much faster at it. And they learn so much quicker. You know, you've lost a lot of your, you know, your mojo kind of thing. Like you lost your pep, so you can't keep up with these guys because they're so much younger than you. It does play a factor. You know that's why you don't see like Justin Wong or Daigo competing anymore. They're old. Daigo's what, in his 50s? Justin Wan's in his 40s? They're over the hill now, man. They're done. You'll never see them again. That's why they just do their own thing. They either do they're like teachers, mentors, or doing their own side thing now. Like he's got his Justin does his YouTube channel and stuff, his social media. But those guys, they're done. You know, I know I couldn't do the fighting game scene anymore. You think I could fucking handle it? You imagine if I tried to compete in the fighting game scene at this age? Shit, I wouldn't make it. I'd be so washed up because I can't hang with these guys. And it's a lack of, and I think it's more. It's not so much. I think I could do well for my age. I think if I played like Exerd and I was in my peak interest at this age, I can probably do well. But it's a lack of interest. That's the thing. I don't think I don't see myself being interested enough to put that much effort to do it. So I wouldn't even bother. So, I mean, I am curious. I'm sure I'd do well. Like I said, I think for my age, for how well I play fighting games, I think I'm pretty good for my. Like, if people found out I was 46, they'd be like, "Damn, you're pretty good at this for how old you are." I think I would get props for sure, but I don't think I could hang with, the vets. The younger vets, they would destroy me. Hey, what's up, Addy? How you doing, dude? We're just talking about fighting game stuff. It's been the topic of discussion lately. Been in my fighting game mode right now. I get in the mode sometimes and I just really craving fighting games. It's like, it's like, you get the itch you want to scratch and you're just like, I want to play it. I want to play a good fighting game. Getting hungry for a fighting game. It also kind of sucks, and I'm sure you see it as you get older. As you see people just kind of fading away from the things that you loved. Like, for example, like gamers. Like all my gamer friends, none of them game anymore, really. Or they just, they do gacha games, or they do really low key stuff now. Almost all the streamers I used to watch, they don't game anymore. They don't stream anymore, so I do feel kind of weird in that sense. Where I'm like, man, all my streaming buddies, they're all gone. It definitely feels weird. Because they've all moved on, or they just don't give a shit anymore. Which I understand. They're getting older. That's just normal. Like all my Final Fantasy 11 buddies, like I only know I think one person that still plays Final Fantasy 11 to this day, and that's the only person I know that still plays it. But everybody else that I know for Final Fantasy 11, they're all gone. Every single person's gone. I mean, it's good that they moved on. I mean, but it's also, it kind of sucks. You feel like, man, dude, remember when I used to talk to those people all the time and be so close to them? Brought us, it brings you together. It's kind of the same thing with your gamer buddies when you, back in the day when they used to play Halo and shit. I have all my gamer buddies. I barely talk to any of them now. And some of these people are like real life friends, and we don't really talk anymore. We really don't. It's kind of shameful. Like I do feel like, and I don't know if it's because the climate of how things are now because of COVID. COVID, I think, definitely changed the landscape of how we communicate with each other. And I think, in a sense, it maybe got us more distant with each other because even though we have the accessibility to talk to each other very easily, it's like no one talks to each other. So I don't know what it's kind of weird. I guess it made us not appreciate valuing each other's time. We take it for granted, in a sense. Yeah, it's true. It's happening more and more as I'm getting older. I don't talk to anybody. You know, I like now that I'm not working, I'm talking even to less people now. Because at least at work, you try to create kind of because that's what a lot of people do when they work. They create their relationships at work. They hang out with their coworkers. They talk about things because you're working together. You're obviously spending a lot of time with each other, so you might as well make the best out of a good thing, and then which makes sense. Yeah, the net has definitely divided us. I mean, this is my way of keeping personable with people. Like, I'm sharing things, that I love, but I'm also using it as a way to communicate with other people. Obviously, I'm leaving the door open to say, hey, you're welcome in my house, if you want to come and visit. It's the way I see it. Dragon Nest friends, yeah, it just happens, dude. Like I said, and I'm sure it's nothing against you, Addie. It's not like your friends hate you. It's just they've moved on. You're no longer part of the I wouldn't say agenda, but like your daily routine or people's lives. They're doing their own thing. It's like me. I'm doing my own thing. I'm most of my time I hang out with my roommates because I live with them. Same thing with my dad. I live with my dad. I live with, I see my mom. That's the only family members I really talk to. I maybe see my other family members once in a while when we have parties, but we don't even do that very often. And like when friends hang out, like I'm lucky I hang out with my friends once every 2-3 months because responsibilities and also just energy levels. I don't have the energy levels like I used to. I'm just not like 110% all the time. I can't do that anymore because I get tired. So you start valuing your time more, how you spend it. And there's times where I probably put a lot of time invested on gaming because it's relaxing. It's my escape. That's the thing. It's my escape. Gaming has always been an escape for me. It's always been that way, 100%. I always use it to get away from reality. That's why I love video games because I can go in my own world. And I know it's not real, but that's why I like it, because it's not real. I don't want it to be real. I want it to be that dream. It's almost like your dreams, like you enjoy your dreams because they're dreams, but I feel like if you take dreams and you make them reality, like it kind of loses the specialness of it. It's kind of like it's like your happy place, like you want your happy place to be special. Think of it like Peter Pan, going to Neverland, and you never grow up. That's the whole thing, is you stay a child forever, always happy. But obviously, I don't want to do that. I want to grow up. I want to get older. I want to experience different things about my life, that as I get age, my mindset changes. I don't want to just stay stale. That's why you move on. I think that's just normal for human growth to do that. I never want to be like stuck in a bubble, and I do see that with a lot of people. They stay stuck in a bubble. They never grow up. They never change, and they do the same thing for the rest of their life. And it's just like, okay, like, that to me bothers me. And I see people like that do that. Like, that's why I see streamers that, like, for example, that just play one game their whole life and they've been streaming for like 15 years. Like Final Fantasy 11. I just look at them and I'm just like, oh my god, don't you fucking get tired of it, after a while? Don't you want to, isn't it time to close the book and move on? Like, see, it's kind of like the opposite of what I'm talking about, where, oh, everybody's moving on, you leave things and you're sad, you wish things could be good again. But it's like, I don't want to go back to that, per se. It's not like I want to stay in my bubble. I don't want to. I want to see new things. But, I feel like people, like, they're afraid of change because it scares them. Change is always good. It teaches you. I think it helps you grow as a person. You learn new things. And there's always nothing wrong with learning new things. But a lot of people, I think, they are afraid of changing into somebody else or just getting outside their comfort zone. It's like, yeah, that does happen. It's like kind of like me, like losing my job. Yeah, being comfortable with your job and having reliable income is good. But sometimes I see it as a growth opportunity. It's like, hey, I lost my job. Hey, maybe this is an opportunity for me to grow, to maybe pivot. And I'm sure I'll find something else because I always have. I'm not afraid. I mean, it sucks, yeah, you don't have a job, but you know what? I'll be okay. I'm like, hey, I can do this. I'm not inept or helpless. Like, I can do something. Just Neverland. Nah, I wouldn't want to be in Neverland. I don't want to stay a kid forever. The only thing I would miss, I wish I could enjoy having my, the youth energy. That I do miss. I would never want to lose that. I do enjoy, just feeling good. Enjoying that, hey, I got the energy, the drive to do things. That is a good feeling. I definitely miss that feeling, because as you get older, it does drain you. It is harder. My energy levels are not what they used to be. And they probably never will be. Even if I was in peak shape, I'm sure I'll never hit those energy levels again. Ever. I'll never be in my 15s, 20s, where I was just full speed ahead, like I had so much drive. Those days, I think, are done. I don't think I could ever get that back. My mindset has changed, and again, my body is worn. Yeah, streaming that long is a thing, dude. Like you said, there's a couple streamers in FF11 that I'm still subscribed to them, but God, dude, that's all they do, man. Like, I like the guys; they're cool. They're not bad people. It's just that's all they do, though. And I just feel like they're trapped in a bubble. Like, I just feel like they're so terrified of leaving the game. I think because that's all they know. It's like, it's kind of like, this is what I'm good at. Granted, you can't make a job out of it. There's no money in it. But yeah, seriously, though, there are people like that still play the game that religiously to this day. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I played it for 15 years. We're already going on a 23rd anniversary. I guess 23? Came out in 2002? 2003? Yeah, I think it's the 23rd or the 24th anniversary. So you're just like, holy shit. Like, goddamn, fucking game's old. I quit, years ago. And I don't miss it. I don't want to come back. I just can't. I refuse to. There's no way you can get me back in that driving seat. Make me do it again. I don't think it would bring anything back either. I don't think any of my feelings would come back. I would just be like, cool, I'd like to maybe just visit for 5 minutes. Like if a friend say, hey, I just want to say hi to you kind of thing. Like, let's just talk, that'd be okay with that, but that would be as far as it went. It's like, oh, let's go and do adventures like we used to. And I'd just be like, dude, I'm not feeling it, man. I don't want to. Like, I know it sounds depressing when you say it like that, like almost like you don't care about your friendship anymore with them. It's just like, I'm not that same person anymore. Like, that person you remember, I tell him, I was like, he's gone. Like, he doesn't exist anymore. I know it's like, you say it like that, it's like, it sucks, because I'm just being honest. I'm being completely honest. Like, the person you remember me as back then, that bubbly person that was totally into FF11, had so much drive and, all that stuff, is just gone, dude. I just don't care anymore. My personality has changed. Like I said, what I prioritize has changed. My tastes have changed. It's just like, they look at you like, man, you're not the same person anymore. You've changed so much. The biggest regret? Oh, I regret, like, investing so much time into it. I definitely think there was a lot of wasted time with that game. I don't say I don't regret any of the friends I met. Like, all the people I met, there's great memories. I'll never forget them. But I just think it's just I wasted too much time on that game. Hell, Maximilian was addicted to that game. It was one of his biggest games back in the day. He loved 11. He played 11 for like years. It basically, he had an addiction with it. Like, honestly, it was like, he was legit, like he had a problem. And even he was like, yeah, I had to leave. And he left way before I did. Way before me. So at least, I think Max was bitter about, moving on with his life than I was. I got stuck in the bubble. He didn't. I give Max credit for that. He moved on. He got away from that. Worked on his career, worked on doing what he loved, and then now he's a family man. He's a millionaire. He's living a good life. He has a platform. I mean, he's come a long way. He used to be a nobody, I remember his humble beginnings. But yeah, he says just, that game held him down too, but it didn't hold him as long as me. I definitely, even my friends were like, dude, like, they wanted me to move on too. Like, aren't you tired of that game? Like, Jesus Christ, dude, that's all you fucking play. Like, and I agree with him. Like, what's his name? Jeha. He knew how addicted I was to that game. And he was just like, man, God, dude, I know deep down he was like, dude, you need to get away from that game, dude. Like, it's like you invest way too much time into it. I'm a saint now compared to what I did before. Like, even though it looks like I spend a lot of time on this game, like, this is nothing. This is nothing. Like, if you want to see me peak addiction, like, yeah, I said, if you would have watched me back in 11 back in the day, you would be like, holy fucking shit. Like, this guy, like, lives in this game. I play this game, and people think I'm hardcore as fuck on this game. I'm like, dude, this is nothing compared to how I used to be. Like, if you would have saw me then to what I am now, you'd be like, oh yeah, he plays way less now. Like, way less. I still play a lot, but I don't play anywhere near like I used to. Like, literally playing, like, 6 to 8 hours a day, every single day. I play at least 40, 50 hours a week. I would play Final Fantasy 11 while I'm working a full-time job. Like, that, I would sleep on like 5, 6 hours a day. But I didn't have any responsibilities. It was just literally, I get up, I go to work at 2 in the afternoon. I go to bed at 10. I get home at 10 o'clock. I would do my events from 11 o'clock at night all the way to like 6 in the morning. And then I would go to bed at 6, get up at like 12, 1, eat lunch, and then go get ready for work. And I would do that 5 days a week. And on weekends, I would play for like 10 hours each day. But I would play longer than that. I'd play like 50, 60 hours a week on just an MMO. So I don't play like that anymore. So you can imagine like how hardcore I was back then. Like I was bad. I definitely, you could definitely call it an addiction. But yeah, as far as biggest regrets, that's probably the biggest one. I mean, yeah, also too, I said some things that were hurtful to people, and back in the day, I kind of wish I could say I'm sorry to them. They were nice people, and I think I kind of shooed them away from me because I was acting kind of like a jerk. So I wish I could make amends with them and say I was sorry. You know, people that I liked, and I was like, man, I think they thought very little of me afterwards. You know, and I'm like, man, you know, I'm sure they're doing fine. It's just one of those things. And, you know, you say things and you're like, hey, I shouldn't have said that. I really shouldn't have said that. So, but, you know, I obviously, that was me being foolish, being a kid. Being, immature teenager, young adult. You say stupid shit all the time. Then you gotta realize, like, hey, but you learn from it, you move on. It wasn't the end of the world. But yeah, it'd be nice to like catch up with those people just to be like, hey, how you been? What you been up to? Are you doing well? But yeah, as far as like 11 people like that quit, I only know one that's on two that's on Facebook. One guy, he's in Australia. I think he's married. And he doesn't play games anymore. And then the other guy, I think he's in UK. He got married, and I don't think he games anymore. He tried coming back to 11, but he couldn't do it anymore either, and he ended up quitting. So he was like me. He was like, nah, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm just not interested anymore. It's like the moment has passed. You realize that just that I always say it as it's a chapter in your life. You need to close the book. It's just you need to move on. Look forward, stop looking back. And I know that's what scares people, is the looking back. Because, deep down in your heart, it means so much to you, but you're like, it's tying you down. It's like, hey, it's done. It's time to go. It's like, you gotta say your goodbyes. And trust me, it's the sinking feeling in my heart. How you feel. It's a shitty feeling. It really is. But but you gotta let it go, because otherwise it's gonna consume you. It's gonna hold you back. So, but I realize that if you'll make new friends, you'll create new experiences, you'll find new loves, and that's what I do. And that's the whole thing. I've learned to just stop looking back. Like looking back, I think causes me to regress. That's why I don't like just playing old games all the time, because I feel like I'm going backwards. I'm not experiencing new things. I'm just reverting back to my old self, and that's where I think nostalgia is kind of a dangerous thing to fall into that trap. The nostalgia trap is real. I definitely don't like the nostalgia trap. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm sure you understand that shit. Like, nostalgia is, I think, a very dangerous weapon. But I know a lot of people fall for it, because it's that comfort zone. But I do feel like nostalgia gives you that false promise that you'll be happy. Like, you'll love it if you're nostalgic, It'll be just like the good old times. I'm like, no, it won't. Like, anybody that tells you that shit is just full of crap. Like, they're full of crap. You have nothing waiting for you. So you need to let go of that illusion. I think it's an illusion. But anywho's, that was a long discussion. I don't know if you guys are still there. Yeah, I can get all emotional like that if you bring it out, but I try to. Like I said, I move on. You gotta move on. Keep pushing forward. people dwell on the past too much, and I think it holds them back. Like, you know, they stay in the past. I just think that's just not healthy. Not healthy. Looks like the new event hasn't started yet. I think it starts today. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, dude, it's just food for thought. We all go through it. Yep, exactly. You're not the same person anymore, and never will be. It's like looking in the mirror and you just see a totally different person. You're like, whoa, I am different. Sometimes, you know, like I said, there's nothing wrong with change. Change is good. People are legit scared of change. But I just think it gets to that point where you gotta come to terms with it. You're getting older. And as a person, you just, you know, your tastes change, your priorities change, everything about you changes. Like, that's just how it is. It's normal for that to be that way. I feel like, yeah, if you're not changing, you're not growing. I do think that is very true. You need to change in order to grow. Yeah, a lot of people are terrified of what they don't know. I think it's kind of exciting though when you see like something you don't know and you kind of start figuring it out. That's why I enjoy playing new games, because there's so much unknowns. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure things out. That's where your brain gets, you're basically feeding your brain. I think your brain is kind of like nurturing it, because you're using it. You're using critical thinking and making decisions, you know, and the process of doing that is enjoyable. You know, when you keep doing the same thing over and over, sadly, that's, you know, gotchas with dailies, which, you know, we all agree are fucking monotonous, boring jobs. They're just like, it's almost like a real job. You're just doing the same thing every fucking day. It gets old. You know, you're gonna get tired of it. I don't care what you do. It's just eventually you're gonna get fucking tired of it. You're like, hey, I've just done this so fucking much. Well, some people, like I said, that's not true though. Not everybody changes. Some people get stuck in their ways. I don't know if you ever seen like, you know, like man child, like a man children. It's kind of scary, man. I've seen it too. It's like, my God, dude. It's like these people just like they act like they're, you know, like a little kid, and they're like, they're adults. Like they're 50 years old, acting like they're fucking 15. Mommy's still taking care of them. You know, stuff like that. I've seen it, and it's creepy, dude. I think it's really creepy. Disney adults. Yeah, I've seen that shit too, man. It's creepy, man. Like, these people just, they don't grow up, dude. Like, parents are still taking care of them. You know, not paying any rent. They're just living rent-free, and I'm just like, wow. I don't think I could live with myself doing that. I think it'd bother the shit out of me, knowing that I'm living rent-free. Like, I gotta pay something, dude. At least something, man. Like, contribute, man. Like, I feel bad just living rent-free in someone's house. At least pay something, you know? I'm not saying you have to, like, it's gotta be a ton of money. I'm just give your fair share, contribute. I sometimes think I'm too hard on myself about, like, what, you know, sometimes I think I don't do enough, and I'm like, you know what, I think I'm way too hard on myself. I do think I'm way too hard on myself sometimes, as far as, like, what I expect of myself. I do think I like, you know, I know I do a lot. You know, I mean, yeah, you could always do more. I mean, always. You could. But never feel like, you know, like, oh, you know, you don't do anything. I'm like, no, that's not true. Like, I know I do a lot of shit. So it's like, again, that's you just beating yourself up and thinking, you know, that's the negativity talking. Realize that you need to not do that. A lot of people do that, unfortunately. They're very hard on themselves. It's like, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you're not perfect. And, like, don't compare yourself to others. I know, I learned that from friends. That, you know, I know, what's his name? Jayha used to tell me that all the time. He's like, stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Like, you're never, you know, it's always going to hold you back, because if you keep comparing yourself to everybody, you're never going to be satisfied, because you're never going to grow. There's always someone's going to outdo you, you're never good enough, and then you're not even going to try, because it's like, and I get it. You should just focus on the growth and stop focusing on whether, you know, how well you place, or how well you do in comparison to everybody else. And he's right. He's absolutely right. And I stopped doing that. I stopped caring about it. And I think it made me more peaceful, just to be like, hey, I know people are going to be better than me at shit. It's just, that's reality. And that's the pride talking, you know. It's like, especially like with fighting games, I could think I'm really good at fighting games. Like, I'm definitely above average, for sure, when it comes to fighting games. I've had multiple people tell me that. They're like, and I've had people tell me, like, dude, you can, if you, at my peak, they say, oh, I easily could have probably took an Evo tournament if I was really dedicated. Been told by multiple people that. They're like, dude, you are Evo material. Like, if you really put your mind to it, I swear to God, you can blow people away with your skill. He says you get when you get in the zone. I can definitely do it, and I know I can. You know, but those days are done. I don't care about that shit anymore. All right. think the problem with current. I'm sorry about that. I had to move my car. I think the problem with current fighting games now is the lack of interactions. There's no meaningful interactions going on when you fight. It's like you having a conversation with somebody, and you're just basically going blah 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 blah. Like imagine like talking to somebody that way. They're literally just going blah 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 blah. Like what are you supposed to say to that? Blah 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 blah. Do I just say that back to you? Like that's the level of communication I think fighting games have now, because of how unga they are. So you're just spewing out nonsense. There's no actual exchange going on, so your brain doesn't have to think. You know, whereas back in the day when you play a game, you know, and you have all this creativity and variety going on, and people actually using expression to actually dictate how their character is played, and then you're trying to figure each other out. You're like, okay, what are your mannerisms? What do you like to do? What are your setups? You know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You're like analyzing. You know, that's good competition. You know, that comes with years of experience. You know, there's a process to it. But now it's like, it's not like that now. I do feel like those exchanges are just not existent anymore. It's like fighting games are so bland now. Yeah, I do feel like, yeah, that's the problem with fighting games nowadays. Is that lack of communication. We need to have a discussion. Fighting games are like a good conversation. They're also like a dance. You know, a dance is coordinated. You know, there's a process to it. You read each other's moves and you flow. You have a flow. You understand the flow. Fighting games now have no flow. It's just blah 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 blah. That's why they're boring. That's why they're uninteresting to watch. I don't feel like there's any thinking going on. That's why when I play games, you know, I play fighting games, I try to mix it up. You know, that's my strength. You know, and games let me do that. It's like, oh, can I use creativity and style to make that a strength? That used to be a big thing with me in all games I played, and it definitely gave me wins. I showed results. Now I feel like this day and age is like, what the fuck is the point? Because it doesn't do anything. Style, you know, being creative doesn't do shit for you in these games. It's not the right way to play. It's not like I can anyway, because games are so restrictive now. It's the whole process of homogenization. Like games feel so samey now, like how all fighting games are just copying each other basically, and developers are, you know, streamlining processes so they're not difficult. It's easy to understand. Like they keep talking about making it easier. Like Tekken Season 3, you know, it's making it easier. Like that's a point of contention that people keep talking about. Like they keep making the game easier. It's like, okay, and that's not what it needs. It's like, I'm sorry because a lot of people don't want to try or think or put in the work. Like, they just want everything handed to them. And it's like, well, and people like me that don't want that, you know, it ruins it for me. Because it's like, okay, well, I don't mind putting in the work. I don't mind thinking. I just, you know, but the game doesn't reward that. So it's like, okay, so why am I bothering putting any effort in? The game doesn't respect the game has no respect for my intelligence. The developers do not respect your intelligence because they think we have none. And that's why we're at where we're at now, is because they think that that's how the majority are. Just herp derp, unga, me do this. Is, you know, they think we're baboons. And that's probably an insult to baboons. Because they're probably more intelligent than we are. But that's how it feels. It's just like, wow, it's... Okay, so that's why I feel like the game doesn't reward me my... It doesn't respect my brain. So the fact that you won't respect my intelligence, so why am I going to give you my time? Why? What's the point? I just can't autopilot on fighting games. I just can't do that. And just focus on it, just winning. Because that's what I feel like. It's all about winning. It's not about creating something. It's not about, you know, creating an identity. You know, being different. None of that shit. I just think we're all the same now. Just make everything the same. Because results are all that matter. I just don't give a shit about results. Results, I don't use results to dictate my fun. You know, like when it comes to fighting games, I just don't think results are what bring happiness for me. You know, for me, it's how I achieve the results. It's the journey. That's what's important to me. So, I don't know if you feel the same way. Do you feel that's the case, or do you feel you don't feel that's the case? Like I said, my explanation of why fighting games are such boring pieces of shit now. So I just want that back, dude. Give me my creativity back. Nurture my creativity. Give me a reason to give a damn. That's the thing, man. It's like, I want to give a damn. And also, like one guy said that reviewed Guilty Gear Strive, and you know his name's Leon Massey. I might have mentioned him before. You know, I think he has got one of the best reviews of Strive, and because you know, knowing he's like me, he's a very passionate Zerd player, and he said the one thing. I said, man, I want a game that's gonna light that fire under my ass. And like, holy shit, like you get that kind of a feeling. Like, what the fuck? Like, where have you been all my life? Kind of thing. Like, that's what I want, man. I want that fire under my ass. Like, make me want to go at 200% full speed. Just like, holy, like, God, I love that feeling. I mean, I get it. Like, this game did it to me. Other games have done it recently, but fighting game-wise, I have not had that feeling in so long. Leon Massey. He's a I mean, he's not even a content creator. He's just known for Guilty Gear. Like he was a big Exert player. Like I don't think he was a tournament player or nothing, but he was known in the community. He's a smart guy. He's from the UK, and I just like how he describes his passion with Zerd. Like his Zerd was like one of his magnum opuses. Like he was like, this game was everything to me. And then he sees Strive and he's like, my God, what happened? And then like his whole thing about he's saying, well, this game, it's fine, you know, like you can see like the soul's been sucked out of him. Like he has like the joy. Is I guess this game's cool that it's made for everybody else that enjoys it, and then like his counter statement, he's like, no, fuck that, you know, like it's not okay, and I want to be the one that's excited playing it, you know, like he's like, it's like, cool, you Strive lovers love Strive, but you know what, fuck you, because I'm not happy. Like I want this game to, you know, to be for me. Because, you know, coming from the previous game, and I understand how he feels. He's like, he's like, I didn't buy this game just so I can make other people happy. I bought this game because I want to be happy playing it. I want to enjoy it. You know, and it's like, yeah, and that's how I feel. It's like, yeah, it's cool. You can love Strive all you want, but, you know, dude, that's not what I signed up for. That's not what I wanted. I know I can't change it. It's just like, it's not for me anymore, and I have to realize that. Now, of course, I'm being selfish because I want it to be for me. That was my game. That was my muse. That was the game that, like I said, lit the fire under my ass. Like no other game ever has. No other game ever did that to me. Like fighting game wise, nothing will come to Guilty Gear's level. To me.
I'm also quite the combat expert.
Yeah. I could look up, if you want, I could look up the video and show it to you. He makes a lot of good analogies too. Just like, but yeah, I do feel the one thing that's really spoke to me is just how passionate he was about it, and that's like, I feel his passion. Like we were almost on a similar wavelength. Like we both, I think we're both very similar in how we think about the game. Like what he's talking about, and I'm like, no, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you. Like really. Like, we have a kindred spirit. Like, we understand why this game was so magical. And why it really brought out something in me I never could ever experience again. I would love to feel that again with a different game. It doesn't have to necessarily be Guilty Gear, but I would love to experience that again. You know, that's why Chaos Code Next felt like I was coming back to that feeling. That feeling was coming back to me. I was like, man, is this it? Is it coming back? You know, is that fire gonna get lit under my fucking ass like it was before, like with the new game? You know, brought back that Zerd levels of excitement, or XX levels of excitement, where, you know, it's just white swept me off my feet. on a second, let me check. Hold on. Just let me get organized here. Okay, hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm good with everything before I close out. I think I did everything. I think I did everything. All the stuff up there. That. I think that's everything. Okay. Sit out. Alright. Let me look it up. I can show you the video if you want to see it. I know you're the only person here, but just you. Let's see this. It's probably the one. Yeah, this one. It's the greatest Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear Strive might literally need no introduction, not only because I'm so late to the party that they've managed to get their first DLC character out, but also because it's somehow
This is definitely the video.
technically convinced some of the more socially
See, I even commented on
to
it.
give it a shot as well. This game has been all over my Twitter feed for the last 2 months in its release, and for good reason. It's a new chapter in the Guilty Gear franchise, a series that diehards keep so near and dear to them that they're willing to pretend for 3 hours that the lore is good. It might be the only fighting game that people have been excited for in the last 3 years. It's developed by Arc System Works, beloved creators of Family Mini Golf, Super Dodgeball Brawlers, and some fighting games, I guess. It also features rollback netcode, a networking type of fighting game used to make the longest distance connections at least playable, which is unfortunately seldom seen in a lot of the major releases of the genre. It seemed to actively want to remold a lot of the systems that kept the learning wall for the game high and dig its way out of the typical anime fighter difficulty curve that's plagued the series previously, which seemed to instill some of the incels of the fanbase with fury, but had a lot of the newcomers to the franchise exclaiming, "Finally, an anime fighter that's socially acceptable to say that I know how to play, but not socially acceptable enough to justify having all the female characters in its search history." The previous entry in the series might be my favourite fighting game of all time, and though it was about an incomprehensible nightmare,
It is mine.
it was a fast-paced title that had depth in spades, with a highly flexible set of universal mechanics to make any character feel like your own, but still clear vision and being aggressively focused. As you might be able to tell, I was pretty damn excited for Strive, but 100 hours later between both the PlayStation and the PC release, I've only come to grow more fond of the older titles in the series. I certainly wouldn't say that I hate it, like I've said many times after Assault.
That's where we disagree. I hate it.
There's a lot that stands out and enjoy as someone who's already played a lot of fighting games. I want to re-emphasize, personally, since I see a lot of people enjoying it so much that you could assume that their download included their first and likely only sexual experience. But much like my first sexual experience, I don't see what all the hype is about. This leaves me in a bit of a dilemma. With the videos that I've made here, I've got quite a lot of people into Guilty Gear, and many of them might have started playing fighting games with Strive specifically. So I want to make this clear. If you like Strive, please do not let this video undermine how much you enjoy the title or feel like you're in the wrong for enjoying it. I'm glad that so many people are having a quality time here, especially with the
I get where he's coming from. He's not trying to be that negative Nancy to ruin everybody else's enjoyment.
People that like Strive or actively want it.
Which is just me, sadly.
Coming at you for enjoying a video game, you can tell them that I said go fuck yourself, and I've got more internet points than them, so you know that I'm a higher authority here. Even so, I've got very little good to say about Strive. So sitting through 70 fucking minutes, this is gonna take so long to edit.
70 minutes of complaining.
Sound like a real kind of good time. I'll live up to the title and keep enjoying it. Guilty Gear Strive is by no means a bad game. It's just a title that leaves a lot to be desired. The game can consistently feel restrictive due to the counter cancel system only allowing very specific moves to cancel into one another, and although every character is very unique and interesting on the surface, most come across as extremely isolated in their potential. The unique Roman cancel system is interesting and allows characters so rigid that you assume that they've got rigor mortis to develop the flexibility of an Olympic gymnast, but is tied to a boring meter that doesn't let you feel its benefits frequently enough. The air movement makes the game feel sticky and weighty, like you're wading through tar to get to your opponent. None of this means that the game doesn't have depth like some people have claimed, but depth is a quality that's almost intrinsic to fighting games as a genre, and isn't anything to write home about unless you've been living your whole life as a checkers fanatic. While I understand that a lot of the mechanics do have their own value in how they influence the game and how it's played, playing hopscotch without legs also influences how it's played, but that doesn't change the fact that I'd rather play a game with more choices, interesting mechanics, and I want my legs back. As a result, Stride feels like one of its most interesting qualities.
Those analogies are great.
But after 10 hours, novelty starts to turn into monotony. For some of you, that might be fine. You might not even be intending to put 10 hours in, but the experience that you'll get inside of that time isn't really strong enough to justify the game's enormously high £55 asking price. For the people that might be intending to play for longer than that, I think that the restrictive systems make for a game that shows glimpses of the freeform fighter that it could be, but never really delivers the goods, making the only time that the title is enjoyable is when you're winning. And personally, if I have to be winning in order to have a good time, then I'm not playing a very good game. Ultimately,
That's true, man. See, that's what I mean. It's just winning is all that matters. He encapsulated that perfectly.
Maybe even good.
Only winning makes you happy. It's like, okay, not playing for the right reason.
Smaller problems that compound to annoy me as time goes on. While there are some interesting experiments going on here, and almost nothing is done egregiously bad, they never feel like parts that intertwine to create an interesting game, and ultimately feel underwhelming. And I know that the majority of my audience is American, meaning that you don't speak English, so let me give you a reminder. Underwhelming is not synonymous with a good time. If you're someone who needs a number to put somewhere on your spectrum of video games, here it is. 5 out of 10. Oh, I forgot. Numbers below 8 cause people to spontaneously bust. Put out that wild. That me is an average game.
Oh god. 240. 240. Like, burn at the stake, because you said that.
It just means that it's middle of the road. Even Rev 2 I wouldn't be able to give more than an 8 at most. And I don't think that I've ever played a fighting game that goes above that. A lot of this video will have me talking very negatively, and a part of that is because I was expecting so much more from this title, but when I look at it without that preconceived
he does not like Grand Blue. I don't think I hate it as much as he does, but I definitely agree it's a shit game.
personality, but I thought it would be the right thing to do, considering
Guilty Gear Strive, I give
well, we've still got a lot of the video to go, so let's get this video.
I would say it's better than Grand Blue, but that's not saying much.
Or at least we will as soon as the game.
Yeah, the fucking server connection is so
bad.
bad.
Starting infrastructure problems, so while we wait for the game to load, we'll briefly talk about older games in the franchise. Strive is the Halo Reach of Guilty Gear. Halo Reach wasn't an inherently bad game. The fact that people are still playing it today is a clear testament to that, but it also wasn't the title that most fans of Halo 3 and 2 were looking for. It changed a lot about how the game worked, and while very clearly still a Halo game, wasn't nearly familiar to the kinds of people that would make videos titled Halo is important. As a result, sometimes changes got confused with flaws for the people that didn't like it, and flaws got confused with changes for the people who were blindly in love with it. As a fan of the franchise, I'm not going to compare Strive to all the Guilty Gears too much, in the hopes of avoiding the same aspect of dilemma. But a lot of what I like about fighting games just so happens to be in older titles, without many other games that I've played replicating the points that I like. I think that Strive is underwhelming and follows trends that I don't like as a fighting game, not as a Guilty Gear. As such, even though I'm going to avoid comparison, I will point out where I think that the series has made the same stumbles before. If you see this asterisk on screen, it means that it's a problem I can find in other Guilty Gear titles. If you see this one, it's a problem I can find in other fighting games as a whole. A lot of what I value in older titles is just how much variety you have on someone's block with the freedom of the cancel system, and how a lot of situations forced your opponent to make choices rather than reactions, or they'll simply lose. On the defensive side, it certainly wasn't the Mona Lisa with a push block, but the small defensive options that you had made for a game where you were clawing for defensive advantages that would convert into stealing your opponent's turn from them. The meter was so good that I made a whole video about it, and a lot of that comes down to the very values and the options of a shared resource, even if it wasn't well balanced. All of this can be said for both Plus R and the XR series, but Plus R feels comparatively more clunky to XR in movement and control of the character, probably due to a lack of buffer. But once you get a feel for it, it can be as free-flowing as XR. Strife theoretically has a lot of this stuff, but in the same way that I'd be your dad if I bought his skin. All of the components are still there, but how it walks and talks isn't remotely similar. The game should be ready soon, so let's also get one extra point out of the way. This video isn't an attempt to shit on the people at Arc Systems. I think that the people that worked on Strife should be proud of what they've made, especially in COVID times. Making games is hard as fuck. A product on this scale is probably much more difficult to make than many of us can imagine. And I don't want people to use this video as an opportunity to shit on the developers. This is a critique of the product, not a critique of the people that made it or the people that enjoy it. Fucking hell, finally, Arc Systems, get your shit together.
I love how he totally contradicts what he was talking about. Oh my god, too funny.
That made of whatever's keeping me so dense are the visuals, so gorgeous that I literally don't feel the need to bring up for the rest of the video until they start to get in the way. If I was to talk about a game like Them's Fighting Herds where the visuals might have you running for your Virgin Be Gone spray, I'd probably have something more to say about it.
I was disappointed with this game. I did not like Them's Fighting Herds. I regret backing that game up.
Once you finally get past the visual honeymoon phase and commission your favorite artist for even more million hentai, you'll start to have to think about the actual gameplay. At a longer distance, there's not a lot going on for a lot of the characters in this game, with the exception of Faust, the one that thinks that soccer is spelt football, and maybe Kai and Stretch. You'll mostly just be running around and contesting for space, not with projectiles, but by positioning yourself in your character's ideal distance. It's more a game that focuses around the close and the mid-range. From this distance, you're going to be swinging at your opponent a lot, just about trying to edge out a hit on them if your character benefits from it, or trying to force a whiff or block from your opponent in a way that allows you to get much closer to them. You've got plenty of ways to close the distance with runs and air dashes to travel further and faster forward rather than backward, which makes for a title that doesn't have the dancing in and out of space element that you might expect from a game that's got fast movement options, because you can get in quickly but get out slowly. Once you've gotten in, you're going to spend most of your time fishing for openings like a con artist trying to convince the elderly that their toaster has a virus and it can only be solved with Xbox gift cards. That is to say, you're either going to get in and ruin someone's life quickly, or you're going to be banging your head against the wall, building up the potential damage bar until you ruin it even faster. Strife doesn't have a lot of the left-right low-high mix-up confusion of other weird fighters. It's still occasionally present, but at most distances jump-ins are normally reactable, and most overheads often require some meter to capitalize on with the roaming cancel system, with the exception of Dust, but it's so slow that everyone's able to react to it like it's a YouTube trending video. Lows very rarely go from low to high, back to low, so your opponent doesn't have to worry too much about being put in a position where they have to choose between blocking high and low. They're more frequently blocking low until they're blocking high, where the pressure situation ends, and even then it normally won't convert into moves that open up for big damage. So a lot of your time on block is spent trying to catch them attempting to leave your pressure, whether that be by them doing a jump backwards, a button to take their turn, or spending meter to leave with YRC. If someone's turtling refusing to do anything, you can always go for a grab, which is hard to tech and quick to activate, so most people will try to escape it with a jump back. On defense, faultless defense, just blocks, and YRCs are designed to help you establish distance and create openings by manipulating the outcome of your opponent's pressure. There's some pretty distinct issues with this that we'll get into later, but for the most part, just know that if you're put into a blocking situation, you're mostly going to be looking for openings to break up their pressure with a button or holding them back. You can use backdashes as well, but they're a little bit tricky to use since you're not given a huge amount of iframes. It's certainly something that's usable, but trying to find applications for it mid-match normally bears fruit the same way that casinos create good financial choices. These make for a game that's pretty strongly focused around close-range interactions, with a heavy emphasis on closing the distance between your opponent and you, and then putting them in rock-paper-turtle situations. Jump beats grabs, buttons beats pressure resets. Turtling doesn't really mean anything, but you put yourself at no risk, or should I say, puts you at more risk. The more you block, the more this bar fills up at the top, it affects the amount of damage that you'll take upon the next combo. And if it maxes out, you'll get counter hit, which gives some slightly different properties to your opponent, allowing them to get a better follow-up. You should also try to avoid being near the wall, for many reasons, one of the Strive unique ones being that the wall can break. If your opponent is the one that caused it to break by comboing you against it, not only do you take additional damage, but they gain positive bonus, which makes them gain meter passively over time, nearly doubles their meter gain, gives them a 10% additional damage bonus, makes them take 10% additional damage, and makes the opponent want to die. You'll want to exit existence even faster if they break the wall with a super, because this gives them a hard knockdown as opposed to resetting you both to neutral. You've got a meter here which is used for faultless defense, Roman cancels, and supers. Faultless defense being that push block from earlier, Roman cancels being a move cancel that does a bit more than cancel your move depending on what colour it decides to be. And you're on the channel about video games, I'm going to make a wild assumption and guess you know what a super is. There's also bursts, I don't really bring up for the rest of the video. They get you out of combos and it's on a separate meter, there's not really much else to say about it. This core is not a problem. I definitely would have preferred for greater mix-up opportunities, but if all of the systems that work into this particular game flow are fine, then it's not an issue. Most of your time spent will either be making a read on someone's block or trying to hold ground that doesn't allow you to be put into a blocking situation. This wouldn't normally be my go-to type of fight game, but I've been able to enjoy games like Third Strike that are further away from what I would normally like with resource bullshit and mix-up blenders, and instead focusing more on things like pressure resets and positioning like Strive. These games are mirrors of each other, and since we've had 20 years to finger ourselves every time we get an aggressive parry, Third Strike is no longer even similar to how it was designed to be played. But compared to what I normally enjoy, both of these games are more focused around elements of holding ground and sussing out if your opponent respects your block play. This makes Strive a decently enjoyable fighting game in short bursts, and even more so as a beginning fighting game, since you're able to engage with your opponent before noticing all of the small problems. The thing is, I don't think that Strive is necessarily designed to be a game you play a little bit. It was probably considered, maybe even designed to be more enjoyable in short bursts, but fighting games are generally considered to be ones that you play for hours, days, months to years, to the point where there's an entire culture around the genre. However, over time you're going to notice more of the smaller issues that either limit your abilities or become an uncomfortable itching game feel like a rusty knife from a London youth, sometimes literally depending on where the tournament's being held. The problem comes in that every single system that feeds into this cycle of taking space, putting someone into a block situation, winning or losing that scenario, repeating until someone wins, either feels unresponsive, doesn't allow for much diversity, or does allow for that diversity, but isn't accessible frequently enough. The best way that I can describe the experience of playing Strive is like a pizza from a really good store, but with toppings that clash or go against your taste buds. Sometimes them toppings can be alright by themselves, or if everything on the pizza is also there to complement it, they get even better. But you've given me pineapple with anchovies. It doesn't matter how much I love anchovies, pineapple tastes like shit and overpowers my saltfish. So let's go through the metaphorical toppings that I think work and don't, and see how they affect the game, starting with probably the part that I care about the most.
He gets really into depth on
It's
it.
one of the most important things to me. Obligatory self-deprecating joke here. It doesn't matter what the genre is, platformers, fighters, first-person shooters of every kind.
Movement's
If it's
important.
not
You need
on the
good
ground,
movement.
I'm not going to care. It might be why games like Street Fighter didn't initially appeal to me. My fighting game journey started with Super Smash Bros. Melee, only to get excited and promptly ejected from any possibility of dopamine 4, and then going on to Guilty Gear and moving on to Tekken, only to come back to Gear and then falling in love harder than ever. The binding point between all of them is that they work to make movement fun before the other person is even a factor. It's a key part of why I can't enjoy any of the versions of Street Fighter 2. Nothing about the movement is fun. Neither is anything else about the rest of the gameplay.
True.
Capcom's Hush Money is
Movement's
so that I
very
realize
boring,
critique
very
their
basic,
multi-cultural
very
relevance
predictable.
in small bursts that you won't realize it's dog shit. If the movement isn't engaging, you're going to grab my attention the same way that using a megaphone to shout at a deaf person is going to get the point across. While Strive doesn't stumble at every hurdle with its ability to get from point A to point B, it struggles a lot with making the air movement anything more than uncomfortable. Running is fine, something that Arc Systems didn't figure out BB tags, so I'm glad that they learned that it feels awful there, but converting your momentum from a run into the air is near inconsistent, with rotation marks the size of Mars. How much momentum you conserve from a jump changes from character to character. Characters like Giovanna have no problems converting momentum, whereas characters like May seem to drop momentum like a balloon from a cannon. The latter doesn't feel like a good way to move in any game, and while I understand that movement is a good way of making a character feel unique, by doing it in this way they might have succeeded in making some characters more mobile than others, but they've made the characters that aren't able to convert velocity edge on reminiscent of underdevelopment. This is a minor problem in the movement, but when the other aerial option of air dashing also fluctuates in quality, I can't help but find the movement as comfortable as the jumper made of bricks. Actually, that's partly a lie. If you want to go backwards with your air dash while you don't go very far, you do travel instantly and you're able to act equally as fast out of it. I could talk about how I don't like how it travels a distance so small that you can count the pixels moved on 9 fingers, but since the whole movement system is built towards making traveling forwards significantly better than traveling backwards, I can understand why it's built this way, and they didn't sacrifice the control of your character in order to do it. However, if you want to go forward, you'll have to deal with what I'm assuming is a cruel joke put in place to smite down joy for those who find comfort in a quality air dash. I understand that what I'm about
He's
to
like
say
I
is
said, I want melty movement.
I think I'd rather
Preach.
slowly bleed out in a bathtub than have to air dash.
Preach.
The big problem being the start. Unlike
I hate
backdash,
that
forward
disc
dash requires
fucking,
to push onto a disc.
like you're almost like you're revving up a
So
motor.
you have a couple of frames of startup before you actually start moving at your top speed,
hate
along with a
that
couple of
shit,
frames
dude.
before you can invert move.
It's
It might
slow,
not look too
man.
bad as a viewer of this video, the same way that you can't smell how bad
It feels like like someone's jumping on something and pushing off of it.
connection drop to 14 frames of delay.
It doesn't feel good at all.
Character that can air dash is significantly less responsive than they actually are by making it as if you're penciling in actions for the game to do in a schedule rather than asking the game to perform the action there and then. This also has some implications on how you use the air dash for offense specifically. In the corner you can use this for extending pressure, depending on the character, by air dashing instantly, though quite a lot of characters still feel quite sluggish when doing this. Air dashing in neutral becomes about as useful as a McDonald's in a diabetic ward, as now your movement becomes so telegraphed that it can be reacted to with consistency at mid-screen, making for an unadvisable movement
Yeah, I don't like
It's
that.
not unusable, but air dashing in this title is more a solution
It does make you easy to read.
rather than an intrinsically fun way of getting from point to point because of this delay. I understand that this is a minor point to many, but as someone that likes the movement element of fight games the most, the awkward start before an air dash starts ends up taking center stage my thoughts on the game anytime I'm about to press forward. While I don't understand the way that the air dashes start, I can understand what they were going for with the portion where you're actually moving. Different characters have different air dashes. Some of the weird kids decided to dye their hair and have alternative air dashes, but for the most part the differences come in length. Characters like Zato don't actually have an air dash, but when they dash they instead get put into a flight state, whereas Milia has 2 air dashes that are quite small. This allows different characters to utilize their air dash in different ways. I think Milia is probably the most standout example of this, since it works into a left-right mix-up game off of a disc, which is a core part of the character. The part that I take umbrage with the most is how momentum is retained off of an air dash. Firstly, it decays extremely fast, and while some characters might travel further than others, they all have this balloon out of cannon feeling. That is unless you put a button behind your dash, in which case they'll move with whatever speed they were already traveling with. This makes it so that regardless of what you're doing going forward, you'll almost always put a button behind it, because it's both the fastest way to travel, the furthest way to travel, and forces your opponent to either block or contest. I'm going to assume that this was to make it a choice between traveling far and fast versus short but safe, since you're able to block after the start of an air dash. But this causes air dashing to lack being a useful tool at both full screen and mid screen, since it's both safer and faster to just run. The momentum doesn't stop air dashing from being a useful tool outright, but instead reinforces it becoming a mix-up tool rather than being both a mix-up tool and a movement option. Aside from those two massive, glaring tours, I think that the ideas that they wanted to get across in the movement is fine. I debate that quite a lot of the characters' base jump heights are a little bit too high, but I wouldn't really be able to give you a concrete reason why. I think it's because it forces the other player off screen, especially when you double jump, so it can make everything a little bit visually unclear and harder to pass than I feel like it should be. I'd like for some of the more defensively minded characters like Axel to have a faster run, but that's because I play the fucking character. Of course I'd want it to be broken. The points that I hold a grudge against are purely how you experience your character moving from point A to point B. I'm not super keen on the way that Aiden Bank's gameplay, but it's not the problem itself. I'm all for creating systems that influence how the players interact with the opponent, but I think in the pursuit of making the players slam into each other, they've made for a movement system that's fun to think about, but not fun to interact with. And personally, if you're going to be doing that, you're going to be starting on the wrong foot. Not like I'm too keen to rush around too much anyway, because even when I'm up close and personal to someone, I find the cancel structure that they've implemented, while not awful, makes for about as much variety in options as there is cultural variety in an English countryside pub with a sign outside proclaiming no Europeans allowed, failing to acknowledge that the Europeans don't want to be around us either. Speaking of connections that we cancel,
So it gets really into depth on what's wrong with the game.
The system is somewhat interlinked in Strive. The main reason that you're going to be fishing for counter hits rather than mix-up specifically is because of the way the cancels of limit combo opens. Though they made for a cancel system that requires a whole diagram to understand, the system that looks confusing on paper actually comes across as decently natural when you play. It's got the inverse problem of air movement. It feels fine, but impacts gameplay negatively, because I'm indecisive and can't decide if I'm impartial to Strive emotionally or systemically. Generally speaking, you're not able to cancel a low like 2K into a close slash or a move that will launch the opponent. This makes you dependent on the hit stun to be a deciding factor on if something will connect, which generally speaking, normal hits don't make lows or highs able to link into a move that gets the combo gears going. That is unless you get the counter hit, at which point it's going to vary from character to character as to what will and won't combo. As a result, the choice between high or lows becomes a bit of a non-thought. It's more about thinking about how your opponent will pussy out the situation and picking your moves accordingly. That is unless you've got enough meter for a red Roman cancel, at which point better pick the right side of the coin, dickhead, or I'm slamming you right through that wall and taking half your life with me. Whether or not this is a good or bad thing to you is going to vary from person to person wildly, but this leads to a game where you're spending a lot of your time waiting for someone to open themselves up, rather than opening them up yourself, putting them in situations where they have to work on assumption rather than the action. I get that for many that might not sound like a bad idea. By reducing the cancel system, you're actually making for a more enjoyable game by putting someone inside of less variable, dangerous situations. So perhaps I'm a masochist, but I want to put in a scenario where I'm forced to guess if I played poorly enough to let them get into a position where they're able to put me in a directional blender. Despite how they've changed the cancel system, I proxy they've altered how combos get started. I'm actually for the way the combos can flow, following a more simple juggle system with something like Tekken compared to most anime fighters which have tech outs. This might make for less positions where resets are available, and because of that, it undoubtedly doesn't have as much player-to-player interaction. But I'm such a shut that even the thought of making people's board tech-out choices to benefit myself fills me with anxiety, so I'm in favour of this new change. The simpler combo system creates for an easier-to-access reward through launchers always being able to convert into at least passable damage, even if you never took the time to question the resistance to training. The main thing that I would potentially identify as a problem is because of the cancel properties of most moves, combos don't have a lot of potential in variety, in mid-screen in particular. Some characters like Axel might have some extremely different combo moves in the corner, and I'm not against the fact that a large portion of the cast can simply loop their slash-heavy special ender in the corner to make for effective combos. But the fact that in mid-screen, lots of the characters only have slash-heavy, maybe crouching-heavy special as an option leaves me wanting a bit more from a lot of the cast. Obviously that doesn't apply to Soul, but I don't want to play Soul. What if I want to play Kind, I guess? I would imagine that there's a decent portion of people who don't mind
Nobody gives a shit about
I can
that.
certainly respect and even see the benefits of. What I can't find justification for is how the damage numbers seem to be simulating the effects of making contact with a plane crash rather than a white girl in a pet house ball. This certainly applies on a character-to-character basis, but the absurd amount of damage that characters like Soul and Ram get from the corner is inexcusable, and reasonable damage numbers from characters like Amelia start to pin them down as weak. If you're going to have a system where combos in the corner are going to be stronger, that's perfectly fine and standard. But doubling the damage just because they're not center stage isn't justifiable if you're going to have that lead to the player breaking the wall, gaining positive bonus, leaving me with 10% life and making the drive wall look extremely submissive and punchable. High damage numbers are fine if they're earned, but even still, Soul doing DP with Sabina doesn't mean he should get paid twice as much as his brother just because his pecs are the size of a small house rather than a toppled over skyscraper. I understand that they wanted to keep the damage numbers high because it still says sense of tension throughout the match as it makes a comeback from even the largest deficits, not as unlikely as it seems. But right now, it doesn't create a sense of tension through a realistic chance that anyone could win. It does it by making some characters so explosive that it's like watching Russia and the USA throw nukes at each other during the Cold War. But they've both forgotten the alarm codes, and it's a race to see who can send their strongest smashers to decipher the alarm codes hidden in fighting game notation the fastest. If Arxis wanted to reduce the damage but still keep some of that tension, then they need to either increase the damage scaling during the combo or create a threshold on hits that once passed impacts the combo very quickly. You could also modify the way that Risk works, but I don't think that would solve the core of the issue. Risk is this small purple bar at the top of the screen. You might not have noticed it, especially considering it's so small, but right now it's also a culprit as to why these damage numbers are so damn high. The way that it currently works is that as it builds up, it will make whatever attack lands next not...
Yeah, it's still got 45 minutes, and then you don't have time for it. Yeah, you should watch the whole video just to like see. He's a good review. I think he definitely knows what he's talking about. But yeah, get some rest, dude. Now I'm about to go to sleep right now. I gotta get up in 3.5 hours. Got some stuff to do in the morning, and then I'll probably be back around 10 or 11. Then I gotta take another nap then, and then I gotta head out at 1 to go get lunch with some friends. Be back probably around 4. And then I'm probably gonna take another nap when I get back because I'm gonna be tired. So hopefully I get this shit taken care of today. I mean, this is something big to take care of. So, but anyways, good seeing you, man. You gotta go and sleep well. But alright, guys, I'm gonna go to sleep right now. I need to get to bed. I gotta get up in 3.5 hours. I gotta make a phone call and see what's gonna happen. I might have to take my roommate down there and we gotta do our little deal. Hopefully we can get this done fairly quickly. It only takes about an hour. Get back home by hopefully by 10 o'clock and take another 2.5 hour nap and go to lunch. Because yeah, I'm only gonna be sleeping 3.5 hours, so I'm gonna be kind of cranky. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys later today. I guess probably around, that's Friday, Thursday, so yeah, Friday I gotta do some work with some documentation. Saturday I gotta take my roommate somewhere in the morning. He's going out of town, and then Sunday I got a party to go to at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I won't be able to stay up super late on Friday or Saturday. I gotta get up. I gotta go to bed by 4 o'clock, so 3 o'clock, probably 3 o'clock probably. So I'll probably just do my deal and go right to bed. Anywho, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys later today. Probably around 8 or so. Guys, take care. Have a good night. Peace out.